Hello, Brad. These are your carburetors that we went through without any major machine work. Just did the best we could with what you gave us. And I'm going to go over a few items before I start them up, and we'll see how they manage to sit. Like I said, we've thermal cycled these a few times, and then I let them sit, and we let them stress relieve and see if anything's going to change and tighten up all the fittings. And now, after they've been sitting for a few days, we're going to try an actual, sitting for a few days cold start, as if the owner had let the car sit for a few days. Things to note: we do have factory needle and seats and factory gaskets, which you can tell because they're red. Let's see, I got well, shoot, this is my script for when we do major machine work, so there's not much on the first page here. All the steel parts are CAD plated like original. And let's see, let's get to mounting the carburetors. When you mount the carburetors and you're fixing the fuel line to the inlet, use two wrenches, one to stabilize this fitting, and then this wrench will do the work. You don't want to take the chance of ripping the threads out, which is not going to happen probably because this has got the super huge base on it, and this is the later version and the really good version. I suggest tightening the carburetors in a crisscross pattern a little bit at a time. Also, before you do the final tightening, you get the carburetors on here and where they will jiggle up and down a little bit, and you then stick your air log in place, and so the air log will come off and on easily. You then tighten up your carburetors, pull your air log off, and then you can do your final tightening everywhere. That way, when it comes time to do your air log for the final time, you don't have mismatched alignment. Do not forget the carburetor support rod and its all its fittings. Linkage, I'll send literature on linkage. All the linkage up to this point, everything before this point, all that linkage is cast in stone, and those distances will be given to you. And there's a turnbuckle on this rod, and what you want to achieve is that when you undo this rod and put it back on, anytime you've done any tuning or installation, once you put this rod on, it does not move anything else, and it simply ties this carburetor to this carburetor. And that's why there's a turnbuckle on there, so you can dial it in exactly. To tune these carburetors, I'm going to use a synchrometer, and what you can get online. Your initial setting, as you probably know, as I know that you know, on carburetors, on your idle mixture screw, is all the way screwed in and then back out 1.5 turns. This mixture screw is tightened and it is not used. On this one here, as you well know, just screw it down to where it touches, then back it off 1.5 turns. Don't be like those people that screw them down so tight that Hercules has to undo it. Let's see what else. Oh, G55, the idle jet right here. G55 idle jet. These guys are what clog up and make it so your vehicle does not idle. The cure to that is simply unscrew them and clear out the debris, and you're on your way. Let's get the camera back where it belongs. What did I do here? Okay. Alright, what else? Let's see. You're going to warm up the engine before you do any tuning. I'm going to do all this tuning for you, but I just want to go over it. You're going to warm up your engine before you do any tuning. You adjust your airflow into the first carburetor, first barrel of each carb, so you got uniform airflow. You try to make sure the second barrel is not drawing any or as little as possible. Your idle mixture screw we discussed earlier, you screw it in until the engine stumbles. You back it out until the engine stumbles, and you get the midpoint where the engine runs the best. Periodically blip the throttle to clear the engine. And fuel filtration is critical on these engines. Make sure you got good fuel filtration. I suggest an extra inline fuel filter between the right before the fuel pump, and make sure you got good clean fuel in the tank and the lines. These carburetors do not like to get rust in them or little fine particulate matter, and if you do find any fine particulate matter in the float bowls, it looks like sand, it's rust. So you gotta I would even recommend taking the fuel tank sending unit out of the gas tank and looking inside there with a screwdriver to see what you've got. I'm sorry, look inside. Take the fuel tank sending unit out of the gas tank and look inside with a flashlight and see what you've got in there. Alright, what I did just before we started was I made sure I had fuel by using the priming lever on the fuel pump. Very important. These carburetors will drain down, backflow, or just lose fuel as it sits. And next thing you're going to do, is I'm doing right now, is to look inside, make sure I've got fuel. Okay, I've goosed the throttle a couple of times, and I'm going to hit the choke, although it's about 90 degrees out and it's probably not necessary. There we go. You can hit the switch and let's see. Oh man, I forgot my starter switch on the engine. Hang on. Now, what I did was I forgot my bump starter, which is how I start the engines. And alright, I goosed it a couple times. We got choke, and owner will have to decide, have to learn how to start his engine, but this is a good way to start. Alright, let's goose it a couple times. Oh, my bad, I forgot to turn the ignition on. Damn, in the excitement. That's more like it. That was my fault. I forgot to turn my ignition switch on. Alright, now we're going to let this thing warm up. Building water temperature. That just opened. Okay, then we got stable water temperature. Alright, back to tuning. Now, notice these really idle nicely. Surprising considering the amount of wear. Anyway. Alright, let's check to see. I've already tuned them obviously, but I'm going to show you what we found. Second barrel is holding steady at, see if you can see that, at 2.5. The guy over here is at 4. Let's see if that will change by pushing on the, that'll change. It'll come down to 3 when you push on the second barrel counterweight, so that indicates wear on the butterfly. Now then, how about our airflow through the first barrel? It looks like it's about 5.5. This one's 5.5, almost 6. So let's check over here. That one's almost 5.5 to 6. Okay, so that's great. Now we will do the idle mixture screw adjustment, as I mentioned earlier. It's right here. Looking through the camera at the same time, trying to show you. Alright, it's in the shadows. Alright, so we're going to screw it in. Up by a quarter of a turn, half a turn. The engine is stumbling, back it out. Starting to run rough, run it back in, our midpoint. And we'll do the same thing on the first barrel. The first carburetor. There we go. Run rough, back it out. Starting to run rough, back it in. Yeah, looks good. And like I said, you make sure your throttle is synchronized such that when you pull this off. Now you also will do your tune-ups with this off so that the carburetors are running independently of each other, and all you want to do is be able to snap that back on and nothing changes. Not bad for no machine work. Alright. And they're heat soaked. Let's try a hot start. Yep. Not bad. Not bad at all. Let's see if that would have been better with throttle. Yep. That'll help if you give it a little bit of throttle. Overall, like I said, the second barrels, until they get some machine work on them, they're going to run a little high. They're going to open up a little bit and cause the idle to run a little bit high, but yeah, that's the worst, and you're okay. I'd say pretty darn nice carburetors. Thanks for your patience.